Fans, my name is Kris Kloss. As you can see right here, this is another episode of Cali's Finest right here on the good old Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. New episodes of Cali's Finest on the 10th, as always, of every single month. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the Wrestling Chatter. The more subscribers we get, the more great content we can bring to you. Now, on this episode of Cali's Finest, I talked to one of Cali's true finest, Pinky Santino. Talks about his career in professional wrestling. A true original with his persona, his gimmick. We'll talk all about that. And also we go in depth, deep about his personal life, his trials, his tribulations, his ups and downs. And also, ladies and gentlemen, we get into what he's doing now with yours truly, his broadcasting career in professional wrestling. Cali's Finest on the 10th of every single month. Subscribe to the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. This is Cali's Finest, Pinky Santino. Welcome, Pinky. How you doing, my friend? This is Cali's Finest, and you are one of Cali's finest.
Hey, good to be here. It's nice to finally, see what you're always talking about when we're announcing together.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about that because you and I, post-pandemic, when some shoot jobs weren't happening, and had to get back on their feet, wrestling kind of came back around, and you and I are pretty regular basis now, dude, calling matches. So it's a lot of fun and great to start getting to know you, even on a more personal level.
Yeah, man. It's actually been. I think it's been a great help to actually go with you because you have so much more experience than I did coming into this whole thing. So yeah, coming into it not really knowing that well what to do. I was in the business for a long time, but it doesn't mean that I automatically know how to announce. So I listened back to the first couple of times that we teamed up. I was fumbling around my words a lot more than I am now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know. I actually noticed that you're more crisp now, and your excitement level has really been turned up a notch since when we first started doing this together. So that's cool to see too. And of course, we're talking about Pinky and I have been doing play-by-play commentary primarily. We've been doing variety of shows, but primarily MPW, Millennium Pro Wrestling. And we pretty much do that every Friday night, 19801 Nordhoff Place in Chatsworth, California. Every Friday night, 7:30. So shout out to Logan X, CEO there of Millennium Pro Wrestling, MPW. And come check those shows out, man. And go to youtube.com/Millennium Pro Wrestling, and you'll see our weekly shows, play-by-play, color commentator. So been a lot of fun. But Pinky, let's rewind now. Let's rewind and go all the way to the little Pinkster. How old were you, Pinky, when you wanted to when you knew that guy, hey, I love pro wrestling and I want to be a part of it?
I don't really remember how old I was, but it was at WrestleMania 12. I went with my older brothers there at the time it was the Arrowhead Pond, sitting up in the nosebleeds, and yeah, from that moment on, I wanted to be a wrestler. I was a Bret Hart fan.
Yeah.
So people thought people. It was funny. People would ask me like Joey would ask me, "Hey, who did you want to wrestle when you grew up? What, you want to wrestle Bret Hart or what?" I was like, "No, I wanted to wrestle Shawn Michaels since I was a little kid, so I could whoop his ass."
Wow, dude, we're speaking the same language, dude. I couldn't stand him. I had an altercation with Shawn Michaels. I don't know if I'm going to get into that here, but boy, oh boy. Yeah, he was, he self-admits it now, but I can tell you firsthand, that guy was not a good person, man, back in the day.
I didn't know any of that. I just knew that he beat my hero, so.
Yeah, I know, man. I knew Shawn was going to win that, but I was like, oh, there's this little semblance of hope. Come on, Bret, But I was there too, man. I was up in the nosebleeds. So who knows? We might have been sitting near each other.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
So
Are you? I'm sorry.
we might have done it a little different. Me and my brothers did it Mexican style, where my mom didn't buy us snacks or anything there. She just packed me with a thing full of snacks. I was up in the nosebleeds eating burritos and now and laters that I carried in a backpack that I came with.
That's awesome, man. Well, actually, my buddies and I, we ended up tailgating. Had a little BBQ out in the parking lot. So I guess we both did our versions, and
Yeah,
not wanting to give any money to the overpriced arena food, you know. Um, so was that around circa like that time, mid '90s, when you were starting to really kind of get into it, understand it, and want to be a part of it?
well, I didn't understand it yet. To me at that point, I was still a kid. I was
Right.
born '89.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was still a kid. It was still real to me. I just loved it a lot. That's all I knew.
I'm sorry. You say what?
I said I just loved it a lot.
Yeah.
And I knew that, like, whenever there was a report in school where they asked, elementary school, so many projects of what do you want to be when you grow up, it
Right.
was always a professional wrestler.
Okay.
That's always what I did my reports on.
Interesting. Um, when you got older and you really kind of found out what this is all about, did you lose interest or did you become more interested or did it kind of just stay the same?
Um, I think it stayed the same or possibly gained it a little bit. It was more of a thing where for someone my age, it was something gradual, because once
Right.
again, I liked it since I was very young till now. So it was little by little. It wasn't something where I was like totally like believing it, and then I quickly got jaded because I stopped watching it, and then you just come back in, and then I think people that stop watching it and then come back in and see the difference now can tell how fake it is now compared to the people that had just stayed fans the whole time.
Oh, right. And that's a good point.
Yeah, because we were along for the ride.
Yeah. Right.
It's not a big difference. You're not just jumping into something completely different nowadays.
Yeah, good point, man. So boy, we're a good 13 years apart. 89, 76. But you started pretty young. Can you tell people when talk about your first official match and where it was, when, and who it was against?
My first official match, technically, that I was only like 16 or 17. That's at the time I was training at Santinos.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
And then you adopted the name Pinky Santino.
yeah, I was. I would say, and I take this that I was probably the first Santino Brothers student. So the way that the Santino Brothers happened was back in uh, mid 2000s. The um, Hybrid Pro Wrestling with
Yep.
Johnny Nightmare and Rico Dynamite. They were both friends of my brothers. They went to high school with them. So Johnny had a ring in his backyard,
Yeah.
and they both lived together actually. And then so when I was in high school, they decided offered me training along with my brother. So I started training with them for a while, and then Rico Dynamite decided. Well, he felt like he got me as far as I could, and there was a few of us at the time, and
Okay.
he felt like he got us as far as he could, and then he called Joey and Mongol, and that's how they came over and started taking over the class.
Hmm.
So they started running the class there, and then a, a few like about a year and a half later, I had my first professional match in a show that we did for Montebello, the Montebello Indians football team at Grant Ray Park in Montebello. It was more of a charity show, but it was still a professional show. And I wrestled Lucha Machine.
Oh wow, man. That's a pretty good opponent for your first outing.
Well, yeah, we were both students together, so we both came into
Right.
this business together. We were pretty familiar with each other, so yeah.
And what was your gimmick right out the gate? Was it Pinky Santino?
Um, it was always the pinky gimmick. If we're gonna be perfectly honest, The Pinky gimmick came from backyard wrestling. I have no idea how I got the name. I would just wrestle with my brother and his older friends, and they're all older than me.
Okay.
They were in high school.
Everybody's older than you.
I guess so. They were in high school when I was pretty much like at the end, either middle school or like elementary school. So one of these days, I started off as a referee for them, and one of these days, one of them called me Pinky because there's so many. My name's Kris, and there's like 3 or 4 Chris's. So they just had to come up with a nickname for me, and I don't know how it came about, to be honest.
I did not know that we both had the same name.
Yeah.
Are
Mine was with a C though.
I was gonna say, yeah, most likely, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But so I just had to find a way to incorporate that name. So the first show I did, my name was the lighter character. It didn't get dark into the first official show that Santino Brothers did called Evolucha.
And say that you were cutting out, but say that what was your name? If before you said you got darker?
It was still Pinky.
Okay.
It was Pinky, yeah.
Pinky was always Pinky Santino, or just Pinky at the first?
At first it was Pinky because that name just stuck with me. And then Santino, that came about once I asked permission from Joey and Mongo.
And it was kind of like a representing a shout out, a tribute to Santino Brothers?
Well, the way I figured it is if we were all the Santino brothers, then if we're a family, then our last name would be Santino. So that's how I kind of saw it.
Okay.
That first Santino's class was a very tight knit group. So yeah.
That's cool. So your what year was that? Your first match?
I believe we possibly 2008.
All right, that's kind of like when, because Chaos had started doing, we were doing XPW came back, and in Cold Day in Hell, and that was in 2008, and I remember that's kind of like right when Chaos was, that was circa the time he would, like a year before that or whatever, he'd started the school, I think.
Right. Yeah. We were all at that Cold Day in Hell. We were doing ring crew and stuff that day.
And were you the first, your class, basically the original first batch of students for Santinos?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. And when did you start your training? What year? And you said 08 was your first match, but when was your
So probably somewhere in 06, possibly.
Oh wow. So even goes back to 06.
Yeah.
He'd started, all right, Wrestling Society X. We filmed the pilot in February of 06. And then we filmed the rest of the episodes 2 through 9 in November of 06. He had his school at that time when he was doing that?
It might have been later then because it sounds like you're a little better with the dates than me.
Okay. All right. Well, it was right around, I think definitely by the time Cold Day in Hell rolled around in 2008. Yes, he had Santino's Brothers had started already.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much graduated by then. If I'm mistaken.
Okay, cool. And then, so your first match, you Lucha Machine?
Yeah.
Lucha Machine, 1-on-1, and you obviously went over, right?
No. You know, it's a kid show. You got to put the heroes over on the kid shows.
Oh, one of those shows. We're familiar with those type shows, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah. We actually just this past weekend, Pinky and I, it was a cool festival at Santa Anita Racetrack, literally right in the middle of the racetrack. It was a huge michelada and beer festival, and it was a 2-day event. A lot of fun, man. Fun under the sun. First time in history, called matches shirtless over here. Yours truly. Never done that. Sun's out, guns out, and yeah, wanted to work on the old tan. But anyway,
I like going, by the way. You get burned in the back after all.
Yeah, it's not so brown. It's more red. I wish it was a tan. I'm calling my sunburn a tan. But no, man, we've been doing a few of these, but again, primarily we'll get into the MPW stuff. So okay, you have your debut match 2008. I'm guessing it was after Cold Day in Hell.
I think before, actually.
Oh wow, yeah, that was semi early because that was May of 08. So I guess it was kind of in the middle of the year, but a little earlier.
Yeah.
Um, but okay, cool. So you'd already had your match, got some experience. I don't know if you're basically probably following Chaos's lead as opposed to just trying to meet people and XPW and Big Vision Entertainment, or was it just kind of like, yeah, guys, let me do all the talking, Chaos kind of thing, or?
Well, in originally, what they intended to do at Santinos was, um, they really didn't want us wrestling everywhere at first,
Right.
because they were trying to establish a company of their own called Evolucha.
Mm-hmm.
So which is smart, because the way that they saw it was, they wanted to have their exclusive guys putting on
Right.
matches, because why have your guys that you're going to see all over the place when you have your exclusive guys and you come in specifically to see these guys?
Yeah, completely. Okay,
Um,
so that
but
was
pretty soon,
yeah.
I was going to say, pretty soon, when they were having trouble with the venues and things like that, they did help us get some bookings here and there. Like I told you yesterday, Angel was XPW original Angel. He was another one of our trainers, and he actually took a weekly booking at a lucha company called MWF. So just so
Okay.
that they would book all of his students, so that we would get weekly experience at a show.
Right. Oh, that's cool, man, and that's so vital, so important. And again, one of the cool things, I'm not saying this to put it over, but that's what I love about what we're doing right now in Chatsworth on Fridays MPW, because you're treating this show like a television program almost more than a pro wrestling event. And it's not to say that it's sports entertainment and not pro wrestling. It's still pro wrestling, but they're treating it the importance of when we start, when we end, when we transition, where the hard cam is, and all this stuff. It's they're treating it like it's a television show,
Yeah,
and I really like that. And I like it because, I mean, it's just so apparent that everybody's getting a great lesson right now on how television wrestling works. You can do a wrestling show, and just a regular wrestling show, and that's not necessarily going to prepare you for a wrestling television show. If you do a wrestling television show, you're now prepared for wrestling TV or just wrestling or whatever the case may be. It's the whole gamut as far as preparing and what pro wrestling really is. Pro wrestling at the end of the day is television.
yeah. And that's why I'm so happy for so many of the guys at MPW getting opportunities with Dave Marquez in the Championship Wrestling brand that he's built, and they know what to do as far as working the
Yeah,
cameras and things like that.
that's it, man. And look, man, wrestling is just the best. It's just it's fun, man. It because I take it seriously, but I'm having fun. But
Right.
I will never have fun without taking it seriously, if that makes sense.
I get you.
Yeah. And just taking it seriously is kind of part of the fun, actually. You
Yeah.
know, like, yeah, that this goofiness is serious.
Well, if you could take it seriously enough to make another person like feel what you're feeling,
Mhm.
that's a success right there.
That's our job.
Yeah.
Our job is to put them over.
Yeah.
And
Where.
and and if there's any announcer ever out there, and we talked about this again last night, not to name names, but if there are people out there that their goal is to put themselves over, it comes through, it shows, and it sucks.
Yeah.
And the real, and I told you this yesterday, I don't know if you agree, but the secret, as far as a pro wrestling announcer, if you want to put yourself over, the best way to do that is by putting somebody else over.
Yeah.
I mean, and you don't want that to be the goal. Like, all right, I'm just going to talk about him so I can. No, I'm just saying that's how this business works. It's
Yeah.
just like a face and a heel. If I get him over, this face, then that means I'm over as the heel because I went to go get him over, and vice
Exactly.
versa. And that, kayfabe dying and all that, that's fine. I don't think it's fully dead. Everybody can be worked here and there, but unfortunately, we're losing. At times, we can lose a little bit of that, what we just talked about.
Right.
When kayfabe goes away, some other stuff is going to go away with it, unfortunately. And part of that is balancing it out, a fine line to not mark out for yourself, and to treat the business seriously, but to also, you don't want to, like, I can't mark out for myself to the point where you're not having fun. You got to balance it out.
Right.
You got to have fun doing this, but you have to do it in a way that you take the business seriously and you don't start marking out for yourself too much, because then at that point you just completely lost sight of what we're doing here,
As
in my opinion.
or I'll say it again, your job as an announcer, your enhancement. You're no like, and it's me, especially for someone like myself. No, I was once in the ring, and I was once the guy that was, hey, everybody look at me. But now that I'm an announcer, I have to know that it's no longer my time to be like, hey, look at me, because now it's about them. I got to take a step back, and I got to enhance whatever's in the ring.
Right. That's and tell with words, put words to what we're seeing, to fill in the blanks with words as far as what we are witnessing with our eyes in that ring.
Right.
Just narrate what they are doing. That's
Hmm.
what it is. We're telling the story with words verbally, but what's already happening. So what is the focus of the show? The focus is what they're doing, because we're just there talking about them. They're not talking about us,
Right.
right? So when people try to get themselves over as the announcer, now not only are you trying to just get yourself over, but you're actually taking away from what the show really is, which is the wrestling.
Yeah.
It's not about you. You're there to talk about what they're doing.
Yeah. Like, if the promoter decides to give you a little something extra to do where you're in the ring, fine, take that opportunity. But as when you're on that table, talk about the match, talk about the next
Right.
matches, talk about the show, because you're there for the show. The show's not there for you.
And storyline and whatever. But you're right. Once the promoter involves you in an angle, okay, now you're part of it. You're right.
Yeah.
Now you're supposed to be part of it. But once that
Right.
angle's done, dude, you're kind of just there, you know? And accept that. And dude, what is why would people have to try to get themselves over? What more do you want? You're already a part of this. Like, you're already here, you're doing it.
It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, I can't imagine not enjoying just being a part of all this. Like, what do you mean you have to, like, say more to get you over? Look at me. Like, why? You obviously aren't totally having a good time here.
yeah.
I don't. I just it's unbelievable, and I've seen it throughout the years, and it's just like, oh my gosh, dude. But not everybody, but just that mentality
Right.
floats around, and
Well, it's from time to time, it's like a business of cool, where guys are so worried about looking cool at all times that what sometimes you have to be the one to look not cool to put
yeah.
the guy over.
And you know what? You gotta be okay making mistakes.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
gotta, like, bro, I am not perfect. And getting names wrong or whatever, or even moves wrong. It's like, dude, you don't need to be a perfect robot and say everything exactly correctly all the time. And what are you going to worry about? The trolls talking shit? Oh my gosh, you are in the wrong business then if that's going to affect you. Getting out of the fear of what other people think is huge. And that's all it is, really, the fear of what other people think. And
yeah,
and you're in the wrong business. And again, what do you want to give your credence to, your power to? What that person, that troll, thinks, or what I truly feel consciously about myself and honoring my own voice, you know?
Yeah.
And use that as a tool to like, oh, get out of this fear of what other people think, you know? But also use those mistakes that you did, use them to just do better the next time, like a kid would taking a test in junior high or high school, you know?
Yeah, man. I
Yeah.
hear you.
But yeah, Pinky, so okay, you know, you grew up in Pico Rivera, right?
Yep.
Okay, and so that wow. So speaking of XPW, you were there like right near the Pico Rivera Sports Arena when shows were going on. How old were you when you went to your first ever wrestling show? Not XPW, just wrestling in general.
That was WrestleMania 12. So I'm not sure how
Oh,
old I
that
was.
was your
But
first
yeah,
show.
yeah, but I was
Oh,
a kid
okay,
at the
okay,
time. Yeah. I,
okay.
I actually never went to an XPW show till Cold Day in Hell
Oh my God.
because my mom wouldn't let me go. I was too young.
Yeah, because that was the little the brand was quite yeah.
Right. My brother would go and he would bring home VHS tapes and stuff because he would stay and help like take down the because once again his friends were students at the school. So he would
Right.
stay and help them tear down the big X and all that stuff, and then they'd give him tapes to bring home. So that's how I
Okay.
knew about XPW. That
Oh
and
man, that must have been the worst. Your brother that must have been the worst. Your brother came home telling you all about it, getting jealous and you know,
yeah,
oh, like yeah. But there again, that's what we don't have. The grass is always greener. It probably piqued your desire even more, you know, that
yeah,
forbidden fruit that you couldn't have.
yeah, so much. And like just watching those tapes, and then the the um the show on KJLA back in the day. I would stay up late on Saturday night just to watch those shows too.
Yeah, there was a cool little wrestling block that was on. Like there was WWF Jacked or Velocity, like their that B show they had at 10. Then at 11, we were sandwiched. We had WWF, then XPW was on at 11, and then at midnight it was ECW. So, I mean, we couldn't have asked for anything better as far as a block of being on television like that. But that's so okay. So you had the local vibe there. Your first show was Cold Day in Hell. What was your first non WWE show that you ever been to?
Hybrid Pro Wrestling in Culver City.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. Okay, and okay, so
I think I
so
still remember the main event for that one too. No, 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 it wasn't in Culver City. It was the one they did one at a nightclub before that where the main event was Dynamite D and Chaos against
oh
Mike
wow,
Rain and Super Dave.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow, man. What year would you say?
Uh, maybe
Oh five.
2004 or 5. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Wow, man. I would love to see footage of that if there is any. If
There
anyone knows, sorry.
actually the people from Hybrid Johnny and his partner have been putting out videos of the old Hybrid lately. So
Oh,
they're on
awesome.
YouTube now and he's putting clips on Facebook and stuff. I don't know what he's trying to plan on doing with them, but yeah, you'll see a bunch of videos of guys that are big names now, like the Young Bucks
Yeah.
and Rico Dynamite's there, Scorpio Sky was there, just a bunch of guys like that are in AEW and things like that. Pete, they just showed a match between me and Peter Avalon.
Yeah, Peter
Yeah,
Avalon. Shout out to him and Ray Rosas, who we saw at the Michelada Rumble.
yeah.
Um, but very cool, man. And if anyone else out there, if anyone else has any additional information of where you could see any of that footage, please throw that in the comment section below. And by the way, guys, if you guys are enjoying the show, Cali's Finest on the 10th of every month, please subscribe to this channel, the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. The more subscribers we get, the more great content we can bring to you. Hit that bell notification, and again, drop your comments down below. Share this video too, please. And but now going back, Pinky, to you now, when you started wrestling, okay, you were starting to make a name for yourself. We may have met right around that time, '05, but I remember I started noticing you in, I want to say 2008 or 2009. And
Okay.
this was like just before XPW's 10-year reunion show at the arena in Hollywood. And I remember seeing you at a show, and maybe it was one of Johnny's hybrid shows. Did he do hybrid there at that
At the arena.
Hollywood place?
Yeah, that was actually the show that was when I wrestled Peter. That's the
Yeah,
exact
okay, and that was the one where where the people got mad because the security railing scratched the floor in your
yeah.
match. Yeah, and it's like I remember it was just a regular little show, like no undescript show, undescript place, regular wrestling, and all the deathmatch stuff we did at XPWX 10-year reunion. Nothing happened, but you hit the guard railing and scratched the wood, and that's what they remembered. All
Okay,
that
well,
deathmatch stuff didn't do anything.
that's my luck.
Yeah, but I remember now when I noticed you somehow, because I didn't know the history at the time, but you somehow in my mind came out of nowhere and you were over. Like you had this interesting cult following of the Pinky Santino thing where I felt like you had non-wrestling and non-wrestling kind of vibe friends, Hollywood kind of street vibe people that I felt wouldn't necessarily even maybe not even like wrestling were like marks for you fans. What was the genesis of that character when you started to wrestle and you were getting kind of this cult following, getting over the Pinky Santino, what was it, the Pink Army or whatever you call it?
Oh, the Nobodies.
Yes, there he goes. Yeah, it was brilliant because you're catering to the underdog kind of kid and the outcast and whatever, and it was brilliant.
Well, it actually started differently. Um, the whole Nobodies thing came from an idea from Chaos. He
Okay.
he um he had this guy, another guy that trained with us. His name was Jesse, but he wrestled as a killer clown named Joke, and
Okay.
he was okay on his own, but Chaos had this idea that he wanted him in a tag team. So they put me with him. So at that point, I had no ideas that I was going to be a dark character. I had no ideas that I was going to paint my face. I wasn't going to do anything like that. But he put us together, and he's like, "Here, listen to the song." He played us the Nobodies by Marilyn Manson.
That's
He's
the one
like,
you come out to still, right? At MPW?
"No,
Oh,
no.
no.
Right
What do
now,
you
I come out to the Smiths."
That's right. Okay, yeah, that's right.
But so he played that song for us, and he's like, "This is what I want you guys to be." So I said, "Okay, well, if I'm hanging out with a killer clown, I can't exactly be normal." So I've always been a big fan of The Crow. So I got the lips from The Crow, and then at the time I was a fan of the show Viva La Bam, and he was a fan of a band called Turbo Negro, and they did this whole thing where they painted their eyes black and they did lightning bolts like coming out of their eyes. But I wasn't the best artist, so when I did it, it looked like I had tears coming down.
Ah,
So that just happened to happen. And they also had Thunder Kitty with us at the time, but
yes.
she was called Mistress May, so
Yeah.
she was in charge. So that's how we were the Nobodies. But then eventually, um, Joke didn't want to be a team anymore.
Hmm.
So like he thought that he would have been better off on his own. So it was me and Thunder Kitty for a while, but then she wanted to be Thunder Kitty and do her own thing too. But little by little, I started wrestling for a different company called Battleground, and there were some other guys that they put with me, and I was like, okay, let's change this. I changed my song from that Nobody's one to Mad World from the film what's that movie with Jake Gyllenhaal? Donnie Darko.
Yes, right. Okay.
Because no one was coming out to anything like that.
Hmm.
Everything was fast, hard rock music, boom, boom, I'm gonna beat you up. It was rap music, something cool. No one was coming out to something super creepy like that.
Wow.
But when I came out, it was a whole like I think that's why I was noticed because it was a change of tempo.
It was like an example. Yeah, no joke. It was like the same premise, concept, And I think people had the same perception going back to one of the originals to ever do that and change everything was The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Kind of that same, like, either face or heel. Whoa, no, this is just death. And it's like not hokey. Like, I kind of believe this is cool. And the same concept, same principle.
Yeah, it's a thing where you have to believe it. So if everyone's coming out there yelling high energy, what did I do? I walked out slowly, very seriously. You had to make it so important not to let any of the fans break you, because some of those fans and dads, they're over there making faces at you, trying to make you laugh, trying to make you break character, and you just got to look at them right in the eye and just let them know
Yeah.
you're not gonna break me. Stare those kids in the eye and like watch them really like just shrink into their seats and like grab onto their parents.
It's funny you said, I think you said the wrestler Super Dave.
Yeah.
Well, it's who you reminded me of when you said you gotta be able to not laugh. Do you remember the Super Dave Osborne? Remember Super Dave? He was like
Sounds familiar.
the wannabe. He was the wannabe Evil Knievel stuntman, but it was all like a work, and it was all a comedy show. And
Right,
he
right, yeah.
he thought he was like, yeah. And when he would go on Johnny Carson, David Letterman, he would say something to make himself look foolish, but he thinks he's talking serious, and the crowd would laugh.
Exactly.
And dude, I mean, this guy, folks, go check out Super Dave Osborne, Johnny Carson, or David Letterman when he's interviewed. This guy was the king of the straight face with like, how does this guy not bust up laughing? He was one of the greats, and he played Marty Funkhauser in Curb Your Enthusiasm. Um, but my God, dude, that is, I'm gonna send you some Super Dave stuff. Just check it out. But maybe I'll put a link in the description too.
Yeah, there you go.
Shout out to Super Dave. Ironically, that you just said the wrestler Super Dave, and I thought of Super Dave Osborne, but nonetheless, wow, man, that's so cool because again, you kind of, when a wrestler gets over by flipping the script on the promoter and onto the fan, the wrestler gets over, and that's kind of what happened with you. It was there's a little bit of natural love for this character because it was an unexpected way of the fans being entertained. It wasn't like the norm.
Like I'll honestly say it myself. Like I'm trained. I know what I'm doing in the ring. I am not the best wrestler. I can't do the high flying flips. I can't
Yeah.
do things like that. But the things that I can do, I can hit hard, or at least make it look like I hit hard. And I can make you believe me because I believe me.
Oh, there you go, man. Yeah. That's so true, man. How can someone not believe me when I believe what I'm saying? It's almost like passing a polygraph test, a lie detector test. Like,
Right.
if you can pass it, if you believe it, even if it's a lie, then the test is going to read as if you are telling the truth. And that's kind of, yeah. And it's like, you can have fun with it. Like, oh, when the heels come out, like, oh, come on, Pinky, what's going on over here? And you can have fun with it, but you're believing in the concept of the crazy world of pro wrestling. And if you're entrenched in it and you're not making a mockery of it, um you know oh, I know this is fake, you're not really doing that. You're kind of playing as if this ridiculousness is real, even though you're not really believing it. I don't know if you can follow. I hope I'm explaining this well, but if if um if you are in love with the silliness of all this, you are so in love with it, even though it's silly, you being in love with it is going to be what people are going to see. And
Right.
they're going to take you seriously now because you are committed to this craft. But you're right. If it's believable, my God, kind of like what we did in MPW when Duke Bennett recently went into the stands and attacked a fan, and whoa, all right, this is some little bit of next level stuff right here that we're playing around with, and it was good shit.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It really was. I love that he's not afraid to be a heel.
Oh
He,
yeah,
he's
really a
not afraid to
heel.
show his personality because he needs to. We need more people like that. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, is this guy, he's one of those guys that, okay, I believe this guy can kind of be a madman, and he's a big dude that I don't want to like get on his bad side, you know?
But it's kind of hard sometimes too nowadays because now it's hard to worry about saying the wrong thing because so like back when I was starting, so many things that the guys were coming out and saying some foul things to the audience, and I'm not sure if they would allow it nowadays without going home and making a big deal about it.
Well, we were kind of talking about that recently, you and I, talking about the world of lucha libre. I grew up as an American wrestling fan, and I would flip channels and see lucha libre. I was like, oh, a little cartoony, over the top, kind of the same thing over and over. And it's in Spanish, and I don't know these guys so much, but as time goes on, I gotta tell you, Pinky, um, I appreciate lucha libre so much more. The more American wrestling goes, loses kayfabe, the more they have rules put on, whether you call it woke or whatever, cancel. When they have these rules implemented on something that's gonna kind of take away your ability to entertain without, let's say, offending somebody, the more this is happening, the more I'm like so appreciative of lucha libre, because we were just at a show in Santa Ana, and the heels were Italian, and they were getting on the microphone saying the most derogatory things to all the Mexican fans.
Yeah.
And my God, you can tell me right now, Pinky, right? How over did that guy get?
Not only that, that was the match that the fans, one of the matches that they were most engaged with, because they actually wanted to see him get beat up,
Right.
and that's what you want as a heel. The people are supposed to want to see you get beat up.
And now we have, like you're saying, we have to be afraid of what we're going to say. Like, we're in the context of a wrestling show. I am not, this announcer is like an actor saying lines. Like, how did we get to this place where in a performance we have to watch what we say as if it's real life, you know? And that lucha show, um, okay, all these Hispanic people are out there, and the heel gets on the microphone as an Italian saying how horrible all these Mexican people are. Well, guess what, folks? I guarantee you, all those people in the crowd, if they were told, hey, this guy can't make fun of you for being Mexican, I guarantee you those people would say, no, make fun of us, make fun of us. It's kind of like when you see old comedians like Don Rickles would go into the audience and he'd pick every group, but he was an equal opportunist. He'd
Right.
make fun of everybody. And it was like a badge of honor. Like, oh, I want you to make fun of me for the white guy or the black guy. Like, I would be like, yeah, do it. And it brings everybody together. I mean, it kind of like it brings you together when look, if Don Rickles, for example, all the racist jokes he told, come on, if that's how he really was of the stuff he said, he'd be in the freaking KKK. He was a
Right.
comedian. And at the end of the day, when you're doing racist jokes, it's like what Dave Chappelle said too. When you're doing racist jokes, you're not really being racist. You're actually making fun of racism
Right.
at the end of the day. No one's really like that, like comedian. Um, but but the lucha world is still very like, oh, we don't have to watch what we say. We're having fun here. And the kayfabe is kept alive a little bit more with the fans. The fans of lucha aren't sitting on their phone. Oh, what really happened in this match? Da, da, da. They don't want to know. The lucha fans don't like, oh, what's going on behind the curtain? They don't want to know. They're accepting of being a part of the show and not having to be a smart mark. And again, it goes back to, I love the lucha world of, oh, we can still perform and say all these outlandish things that are deemed inappropriate because we aren't, this isn't real life. and it's accepted still in that world, and I appreciate it big
It's
time.
accepted for the time being. We don't know how much longer it's gonna last.
Knock on wood, knock on wood. And but I will say this: I honestly think, my personal opinion, like when America, because Japanese wrestling has kind of got this way now too. It's not like it used to be. It's a little woke. It's silly stuff, and but the Mexican wrestling, when American guys go in there, they have an influence of our culture for their match. But then later down the card, you get two total luchadors only talking Spanish to the crowd, doing their thing. That's still there.
Right.
I personally think if it were to have gone, it would have gone already. I think.
Only
I
time
hope
will
I'm
tell.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Because I just don't see those fans at all accepting that we have to behave when we're at a wrestling show. No, man, this is our time to unwind and to let it all out.
The way that I see it is whether it's right, whether it's wrong. What I noticed yesterday was, as far as the moves and wrestling goes, the first match of that card yesterday was probably one of the best matches, if not the best match on the card. But
Yeah.
that second match where the Italian guy came out and
Yep.
yelled at the fans, the
Right.
fans were way more into that match than any
Oh,
other match just because they interacted.
oh,
So
it's like, please make fun of my culture. Please. Yes, now I can get into this.
yeah, like the fans love the wrestling of the first match, but they didn't have a hero and a villain picked. Like some people liked one guy, some people liked the other one, and that's fine. It
Yeah,
looks like a legit athletic competition.
right.
But if you want a hero and a villain, if you want guys to step out of the pages of a comic book and be in front of you in real life, one of those guys has to be a really bad guy and say those really bad guy things to make you
Yeah.
dislike them. That's
Yeah.
why that's why
Mhm.
MJF from AEW was so successful, because in a sea of people wanting you to think they're cool,
Yeah.
he was mean about it. He was mean to everyone. He would go to signings and stuff. He would be mean to them, and
Mhm.
the you know, not to mention he's great on the microphone.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're just mean to someone and not clever, that won't go over as well as that did. But if you're not willing to be mean, no one is going to dislike you
Yeah.
and want to see you get beat up and be excited to see it, or be excited, angry emotionally when you win.
Yeah, and also if they can see if you're being careful because you don't want to be mean, now I can't even get into you no matter whatever you're doing. Like if I know that you're pushing the envelope and you're doing something that may be teetering on, let's say, getting canceled, oh my gosh, I'm into it now because you're saying what you want to say. You're being yourself and you're not kowtowing and being phony in any way. But again, like you were saying, at the Lucha show we just did when the Italian dude talked derogatory about Mexican people, you're right. Like at a regular show, he kind of like, ooh, can I say that? Can I do that? When he was in Lucha, oh, dude, I'm gonna do that. It's gonna be great, and it was great.
Honestly, that is one of the favorite things about my culture, about Mexican people, is like there's a joke by a comedian that passed away called Ralphie May, and he was
Mm.
like, Mexicans can take a joke pretty good as long as it's true. The worst you'll get out of them is, "Hey, that was fucked up," but that's about it.
Right, right. And at the end of the day, um, like Danny, my best buddy, Danny Ramirez, Manchichi, we joke around a lot. And I remember back in the day, we would go to the mall, and I would act like a cholo. Hey, what's happening, Holmes? What's up, man? And then Danny would act like as proper British white as possible, and we would just do this and walk around, and we wouldn't tell people it was a joke. They'd be kind of looking at us confused, like, what the hell? But what does that do in that moment? it literally brought us together as people. So we see that we're like-minded, and it transcends the thing we're fucking making fun of, you know. And that's what I think, unfortunately, not in just wrestling, but in comedy especially. Um, I mean, again, you look at the old Don Rickles, for example, concert, and he's making fun of every nationality you can think of. I mean, really going to bat, right? And then they pan to the audience, and what do you see? You see all different nationalities laughing
Yeah.
together. So I want to say it was George Carlin or Richard Pryor that said, when we are able to laugh at our differences, whether politically, racial, whatever, that's actually a form of evolution. We've evolved into that kind of that next level of coming together because we overcame that. We're laughing at it and not letting it laugh at us or control us.
Right.
And in many ways, dude, I feel like, whether by design, order out of chaos, who knows, but I think that this is happening, and it's and it may be maybe order out of chaos, because it's definitely happening, and we're going the opposite way with this. It's not a good thing. It's not beneficial.
Hard.
uh but
It's hard because you people come to it. There's two sides of it because you want that to happen, but you want people to enjoy the show. You don't want them to go home feeling shitty about it.
yeah,
So yeah, you want them to leave with a smile on their face, not feeling bad about it. But then again, you have to tote that line to go ahead and make them care enough to throw that emotion in there.
yeah,
So yeah, it's hard.
make them believe, man. And it's more of a challenge now. So Pinky, going back to wrestling, when did your first match was in 2008, you said?
Give or take. Yeah.
Just Yeah, okay. And then how many years were you wrestling until you had to kind of pause your career right now?
I was wrestling all the way up until right before the pandemic when wrestling stopped for the pandemic. I never came back from that.
Okay, so you had good 12 years then under your belt.
I think, yeah, give or take, yeah,
Oh, 08 to 20.
yeah.
So can you tell the fans a little bit about your story and kind of what happened, if you want to, or
Just what's going on right now?
yeah, or I mean whatever you want, if you
Well,
want, or
during the pandemic, I actually hurt my back, so it was something completely unrelated. And they gave me some things like muscle relaxers and steroids and things like that to go ahead and help my back pain.
Mhm.
So, and on Halloween night of 2020, I actually felt my heart like beating really hard. It was like super hard, just like boom, boom, boom in my chest. It wasn't fast or anything, just a lot harder than normally. So I was like, "Oh, this is weird. I got to go get this checked out." So I went to the hospital that night, and they ran an EKG. They're like, "Okay, your heart is fine. You just need to get off this medicine and just chill out with it. But we're gonna run some tests on you." And at that point, they came back and they're like, "Okay, but your kidneys don't look great. So we're gonna keep you and we're gonna examine that, run some more tests and stuff." And they've been telling me for years, to be honest, since I was a kid, that I've had issues with my kidneys. Since I was a kid,
Mm,
they said there is protein in my urine. Like if if we're gonna get a little bit graphic, every time I peed since I was a kid, it would foam up. It would
mm,
foam up, and apparently that means there's protein being released in your urine. It
okay.
it it was always like that for me, so I never thought it was different. I thought that happened to everyone, so I never thought to talk to a doctor about it because of the fact that I thought that that's what happened to everyone because it always happened
Right.
to me. But, yeah, in 2020, they said my kidneys were bad, and immediately from there, they had to start dialysis. They were hoping at first that they could start dialysis for a little bit, and maybe that would help my kidneys go ahead and take a break, and they're gonna reactivate themselves, but little by little, um, it looked like it wasn't gonna be able to help out. So they had to put a catheter in my stomach. So that's
Mhm.
why I'm not able to go ahead and wrestle right now, because there's a catheter sticking out of my stomach because I do what's called peritoneal dialysis.
Mm.
So I can't really afford to get that yanked out, pulled on, anything like that. Not to mention, when you have bad kidneys, your white blood cell goes down, so there's possibilities that your blood pressure could immediately drop when you're being active.
Wow.
So yeah,
So right now you are in line waiting for a kidney transplant, a kidney donation.
I am.
Wow. Okay. Well, man, thank you, Pinky, for sharing that. And man, dude, good tributes to you. Like we talked about earlier, like or do we talk about like going through trials and tribulations. I can't even imagine what you're going through, but man, more power to you because you're taking it like a champ, dude. You're just the way you're centered and balanced, and it's pretty inspiring, dude, seeing how you handle this, dude. So but and dude, if anybody out there, please, man, join us in thoughts and prayers that you get the kidney you need, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, and it's not always easy, but I have a really good support system. The people around me, my family, my friends, my girlfriend, all very supportive of me, and like people like Logan and the guys at MPW for giving me somewhere. Like I didn't know I was gonna get into commentary, but they were looking for someone, and they decided to give me that opportunity to go ahead and still stay part of the business, and like and being it's a training school, so I'm allowed to be around those guys, and whenever they need advice or anything, I've like you said, I've had over 10 years in the business. I'm there to go ahead and help them out, so
Yeah.
that was nice too.
Absolutely, man, and whatever, like, I feel the same way, whatever my 2 cents is worth. Dude, it's fun, it's exciting, it's cool, it's just yeah, it's work, man, it's progress, it's practice, and it's just cool being a part of it and being just around the guys again, man, just chilling and, you know, talking and man, like I said, dude, it's been a blast working with you and it's fun, man. And we're kind of playing the face heel, yes and no, kind of in those in between spots of
Yeah.
at times you're the heel, but usually we're just regular play by play, regular color. Um, but no, Pinky. No, thank you by the way for being on the show. Cali's finest, one of the greats right here, Pinky Santino. And before we close out, is there anything, any shout outs? One and anything else you want to plug, whether yourself, the leagues, or whatever, or anything else going on in your life? Please do so.
No, well, I do want to once again. I want to thank the guys at MPW, and obviously the people at Santinos that um, they although they trained me, and now they always let me know that I have a home there with them, so I'm always super appreciative of that. And we got some shows coming up, obviously, over at MPW. Santino Brothers has the Rumble coming up,
Oh
the
yeah.
the Southern California Rumble, and yeah, just all those guys keep supporting professional wrestling as it is. That's what we want. And
100%.
like I told you yesterday, we're gonna keep trying to make them look good, because if they don't look good, we don't look good, and we fucking love to look good.
What was that from again?
It's from a Tenacious D music video. For the music video, The Roadie.
That's great,
I'll
man.
send it
Yeah.
to you. I gotta
Okay,
send it.
thank you. And I'll maybe we'll even throw that in the comment and then or also I'll send you too and we'll put up maybe those Super Dave Osborne, the master of keeping a straight face when it's hard not to laugh.
Yeah, there you
But yeah, I'll see you Friday, my friend. And once again, fans, it's shout out to Logan X. CEO, chairman of MPW, Millennium Pro Wrestling, youtube.com/Millennium Pro Wrestling weekly shows. Subscribe to that channel. And every Friday night at 7:30 p.m., 19801 Nordhoff Place, not street, place, Nordhoff Place, Chatsworth, California. And it's right above a place called Boulder Dash, a rock climbing place. So we're there Friday nights right now, calling the action live for the telecast every Friday night, 7:30 p.m. right there in Chatsworth. So come on down. Tickets are cheap, and it's a student show. You support the guys, the students.
But no, just remember, just because we call it a student show doesn't mean that you're only going to get students. Tyler Bateman drops in constantly.
Right. I say student show, meaning this is treated, again, like we talked about earlier, we treat it like a professional wrestling television show. So that's the practice, that's the work, that's the experience that students/wrestlers are getting. So, but no, this is a professional wrestling event, and these are professionals that are still training. Call them students. But nonetheless, Pinky Santino, once again, brother, thank you very much. You got your plugs, you got your shout outs.
I think so. Yeah.
All right, man. And then we will see you down the road. Thank you for joining us, fans. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. This right here is Pinky Santino, and he is one of Cali's finest.